Thank you and welcome to the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series practice from the Atlanta Motor Speedway on Speed. The trucks are back. It's been 20 days since they have been to a racetrack. The temperature here, 50 degrees in the southeast. A lot of people think that's chilly. Winds are up to 15 miles per hour, so it is a little bit cooler here in the Atlanta, Georgia area. Hello, everyone. Rick Allen, Phil Parsons, Michael Waltrip back with you for race number 2. And actually, we'll get a little practice in. As I mentioned, 20 days since these guys have been at a racetrack.
Yeah, and Rick, they're going to fire off pit road. Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, these guys, and they're going to put the gas pedal on the floor, and they're going to leave it there for about 10 laps, and they're going to figure out what that truck wants. That's the advantage of the experience they have. You got guys like Brett Butler and even a girl, Jennifer Jo Cobb. She's going to pull out on the track, and she's going to try to learn the track and figure out what it feels like. So she's starting out behind her and Brett a little bit because they don't know. They don't know what Kevin and Kyle know. But as practice goes on, they're going to have they might fall further behind, because while these guys are out there just getting their trucks better, she's out there, and Brett's trying to say, well, where's the turn at? I know it's up here somewhere. It's a disadvantage that it's hard to fight out of, but if you've got the truck and the people to work on it, you can get there.
You know, what you said about Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch is exactly the same thing we would have said 3 weeks ago at Daytona.
Definitely.
But so different here. Yeah. And they are going to go out there and run wide open, but it's so different than running wide open at Daytona, and that's why you're talking about people like Brett and Jennifer Jo Cobb struggling a little bit, because this is a very, very challenging, demanding racetrack. You're going to be able to run wide open for 10 or 15 laps if everything's right, but then you're not going to be able to run wide open anymore, and you're going to have to search around for places that your truck is going to stick.
What about Austin Dillon? He got to run one lap. We're talking about rookies that are right. Trying to figure this deal out. He got to run one lap, but waited all winter long to run one lap at Daytona and crashed, and now here he is 3 weeks later with another chance.
And remember, there's 35 guys who have had to wait 20 days to get back on a racetrack, and they haven't really been that happy. There's one guy who has had a big smile on his face all 20 days after winning at Daytona. He's standing by with Adam.
Timothy Peters really smiling all the time, but for good reason the last 3 weeks, because you did win at Daytona. So what have the last 20 days been like for you?
It's been an incredible feeling, to come off and win at Daytona, and I'm excited for the guys more than anything. They worked their heart at putting their all their effort into this truck. K&N Filters, Crescent Tools, Toyota Tundra was good then, and we got us a good piece here for this weekend. So just very fortunate for an opportunity Tom DeLuke's given me at Red Horse Racing, and I'm glad to be back at the racetrack.
I was going to say, you have to be glad that this break is over. You can get back to doing what you do best. What is your game plan for this practice?
We're going to let a couple of the guys go, kind of clean the track off a little bit, then kind of see where we stand at. Don't want to put too many laps on the tires. We only have 4 sets this weekend, so I'm pretty sure that's a lot of the guys' strategy up and down in the garage area. So just can't wait to get out there.
Good luck and congratulations again.
Thank you.
Timothy Peters getting set to go out in the 17, Ray.
Adam, it couldn't have gone much better for Timothy Peters at Daytona, but how about Kyle Busch Motorsports? Both of their trucks were caught up in big crashes at Daytona, and this weekend they've got their brand new equipment at the racetrack. At Daytona, they were using chassis that they had purchased off of Roush Fenway Racing, but today we find out about their brand new stuff. The truck that Kyle has this weekend, number 18, it's chassis number 2 from KBM. The one that Taylor Malsom will be driving, chassis number 1. So their very, very first time on the track with some brand new equipment.
How about coming to a racetrack like Atlanta Motor Speedway, where you see speeds about as fast as we see anywhere on the circuit, and you got a brand new truck you're taking out onto the track?
Well, they're confident about their stuff, Phil. He feels like he knows everything he needs to know about building a truck aerodynamically, the setup that'll be under it. He's got some great people working for him, so I'm sure both Kyle Busch and Taylor are down in that garage smiling, very confident about what those trucks will do when they pull on the track.
Kevin Harvick is another guy that has a brand new truck here, but remember at the end of the season last year, he had brand new trucks the last 2 races, and oh, by the way, he won both those races.
We heard Timothy Peters say he's going to let some guys blow the track off. That guy there was the first to blow it off. He blew it off pretty good too. He's running fast, but the reason why you saw Steve Wallace jump out there, he just needs to learn about a truck. He wants to figure out what it feels like to race around Atlanta Motor Speedway in a truck.
Making his first ever start in the Camping World Truck Series will be Steve Wallace. And that number 15 for Billy Balloon Motorsports.
I remember the first time I drove a truck, Rick, we went to Chicago to test. And I know this is what Steven probably experienced. You go down the straightaway, it's a big old boxy truck. Doesn't have a whole lot of horsepower. I mean, a lot in the real world, but compared to a cup car. So you're going down the straightaway, fighting that air in this big old cab, riding down through there thinking, well, this is pretty cool. When you get to the corner, you don't slow down. You speed up. You know, you turn the wheel, you leave your foot in the gas, and the sensation of speed right in the middle of the corner, it's greater than anywhere you've been in your whole life. So you come off the corner and you get on the front straightaway, and you're like, whew, I'm glad that's over with.
And then you got to do it again.
And you're like, oh, but shoot, there's another one coming up in a minute.
You know, the last time they had open testing here, before they limited testing, and basically eliminated testing for the most part, the trucks were here as well as the Sprint Cup cars, and the trucks were about 15 miles an hour faster in the center of the corner than the Cup cars were.
And you talk about getting your attention I mean, I know we've eased into the afternoon here, you know, and these guys are starting to, they're awake at least. At least they didn't have to roll out on the track at 9 o'clock and run 15 miles an hour faster than a Cup car through the center of the corner. And we've seen them have to do that before.
The other thing about this racetrack, there's bumps. I mean, it's a 13-year-old surface, so it is aging well. You see the night train, it's about to get out onto the racetrack. That's not the bobsled that won the gold. That's actually on the 30 truck of Todd Bodine. Today on Speed, Sprint Cup practice will follow us at 2:30. Then our final practice right here on Speed at 4. NASCAR live and qualifying for the Sprint Cup field. Trackside at 8 o'clock and the Daytona 200. That is the motocross at 9 o'clock. Superbike, excuse me, at 9 o'clock. So 2 trucks have been on the racetrack for practice. We'll be here for all of them. Speed presentation of NASCAR Camping World Truck Series practice from Atlanta is brought to you by Camping World RV Rentals. Book early and save. One-way and round-trip RV rentals are available. And by the Spotsifier. Visit ToyotaRacing.com. Click on Design It, enter it.
Heck yeah, that's fun. You ever done it?
I haven't yet, but I've seen a lot of the designs that have come about.
I want to see Kyle Busch race that pink car with baby seal on it.
That says love on it, I believe, as well. The Monster Energy drink number 4 of Ricky Carmichael on the racetrack. He's got a busy weekend. He's going back and forth between here and Daytona.
That's his world down there, Rick.
Yeah, a lot of two-wheel racing action taking place at Daytona this week.
Man, I bet you that place is packed full of two-wheel enthusiasts down there in Daytona. Big race on speed. 200-mile-an-hour motocross. I'd like to see some of that. Is that what you said?
They'd get tired. I'm telling you, they would get tired for 200 miles. I think they go about 6 miles, don't they? Something like that.
They'd get some serious air if they could get up to 200 miles.
200 miles an hour, that'd be pretty good.
I'm talking about 200-mile distance. 200-mile distance.
Coming in. I mean, we're going to see runs of 3, 4, 5, 6 laps to get a feel for this. But you had mentioned earlier that they'll run wide open. I mean, they'll put the pedal to the metal, go all the way around this racetrack, never lifting.
Well, that's what we've seen in the past. A lot of that depends on the tire that Goodyear elects to bring. Will it stick real good early in the going and give up more, or will it, or how is that tire designed? Right. How did the trucks feel on top of that tire? This is your cat that was the story last week, right, or 3 weeks ago, excuse me, down in Daytona. The 17 truck of Timothy Peters got his first win. It's pretty cool to see him get a big win at Martinsville. I bet he thought it's not going to be any better than winning in my home track at Martinsville. Then he goes to Daytona and he's like, well, maybe it is going to get better.
It gets a little better.
Yeah.
Actually a lot better. Now, you mentioned tires. They came with a little different compound here and a different stagger. Also, the right sides are not staggered as much as they have been in the past year. How will that affect the handling of the trucks?
Well, that's something that the guys in the simulated programs, they will try to determine what kind of changes they need to make because of that. But these guys, do their homework, and they're really prepared when they get there. So I don't think it's going to be a huge guessing game for them. Yeah. And Goodyear continually tries to make the tires better. They try to give you more grip, try to get them to last longer, a better feel to the drivers. And I know they just got through with a tire test at Nashville. We go to Nashville here in early April, right, which is very rare. So they've already done a tire test there, both nationwide and the Truck Series, to try to have a little better package for there as well.
If you want to simply know what stagger does, a little bit of stagger or a lot of stagger, take a cup and lay it on a table and roll it. If the little end is a lot littler than the big end, it'll roll around there. It'll make a quicker circle.
Right.
If there's just a little bit difference, it takes longer for the cup to turn, but it does turn. And that's what Goodyear builds into these tires. It's called tire stagger, the difference in the circumference from the inside tire to the outside tire, and it just helps these trucks get around the corner. It's an assist for the crews, and Goodyear makes the decision on how much stagger it'll have because they want to make sure those tires will maintain throughout an entire green flag run, a fuel stop, if you will. So they get the final say, but then the crew chiefs get all the information. They know how much stagger they had in the past, they know how much they have now, and then they will make adjustments to the truck accordingly.
And the radial tires that we run now have been running probably for about 20 years now. Will change very little. In other words, from set to set to set to set, you have very little difference in the circumference in all the right sides and then all the left sides. Back in the day when we ran bias ply tires, the same kind of tire that we see on the K&N Pro Series East and West, sometimes those tires will grow differently. So that's a challenge that a team has to worry about. Not so much with these trucks and the radial tires.
You said they've been running them for 20 years, and that made me feel really old. So I remember the day they showed up with them.
I tire tested them before we ever raced them.
You guys are aging yourself. Ray, are you running radials or bias ply?
Well, we're going to go radials here, but you know, Ron Hornaday's jumping into his number 33 truck here. And guys, at the top of the show, I was talking about how things didn't go very well for Kyle Busch Motorsports at Daytona. Ditto for KHI, a couple of wrecked trucks. But how about Hornaday? You know that this team is going to be tough whenever they get to Atlanta. The KHI trucks always run really, really well here. And the truck that Hornaday will be wheeling today is the one that Kevin Harvick used to win the race at Homestead last year. The number 2 truck today will be a brand new piece. And as we watched last season, anytime KHI brings a new piece to the racetrack, it's usually lightning fast. Hornaday getting into his truck right now, and he will have a new crew chief this weekend. Up on top of the hauler, you see Doug George, and Doug will be calling the shots. Dave Fuge was the crew chief at Daytona. Things didn't work out there. They've made a change. Doug moves over from the 2 truck to the 33.
A lot going on early in the season.
I'm sure there's going to be success there. Doug George has been with that organization for quite some time. Johnny Sauter, his young one, 2 months old now, so I'm guessing he's getting a little more sleep at home. We'll be back. Tonight, as NASCAR heads to Atlanta, Rocket Man Ryan Newman and Martin Truex Jr. stop by for the ultimate Friday night house party. Catch NASCAR Trackside Live tonight. It's 8 Eastern, only on Speed.
Woohoo, Martin Truex Jr. He drives an Apple car, in case y'all didn't know. And he's going to be driving it about 1 inch off that outside wall all Sunday afternoon. Don't you agree, Phil?
He loves to get up there.
I remember the day he showed up. We went down to Rockingham for a test in '04, and he's going to drive Junior's car. And he hadn't even been there 10 minutes. And, you know, you run right against the wall at Rockingham a lot of times. He was up there blowing dust off and hauling the mail. I thought, well, this kid, he's probably going to be all right one day. And I think he's been all right.
He's
won
been okay.
2 nationwide championships, made the chase in '07, won a race. So hopefully he can have a good day on Sunday.
Here's Rick Crawford. Great to see Rick back. There was some doubt as to whether Rick and his team would be able to get here to Atlanta. They had a 1-race sponsorship from Lilly Trucking. Fortunately, Tom Mitchell circle ball. What I've read is that Rick's very, very close on maybe getting a sponsor, so they certainly didn't want to miss the race. And then all of a sudden, boom, we have a sponsor next week. So thanks for Tom Mitchell and bringing the Circle Bar team back. And we're going to ride along with Rick here.
He's
not quite up to speed yet.
What do you think he's doing, Phil? He's just sort of slowly riding around. Done that for a couple laps now. I never seen anybody do this.
You see the dark places in the racetrack. That's where there are bumps, and the tires will squish down and actually make it a little bit darker there. That's not really from stuff rubbing, but Rick's going to get up to speed here.
I've got to tell you guys, at the Speed Studios, we have this iRacing simulator that's set up there, and it is very accurate.
Yeah.
I mean, what we're watching right now of Rick Crawford, that's the same thing you see on that simulator. I mean, it's amazing to sit here and watch this run and listen to Rick Crawford.
The biggest difference is, Rick, is when you've done that and you go right there and the back end doesn't stick and you hit that concrete.
There's no reset button.
You can't reset.
You can't turn the damage off.
And then so when you're riding your little game, ooh, this is fun. You don't really pay any price.
Lot different.
These guys have all clobbered the wall. So when they're running down through that corner, they know if they make a mistake, what lays out there for them.
Oh, yeah.
You remember how vicious that accident was that Rick had here several years ago. I believe it was 2004 in the backstretch.
After Martinsville, I believe.
Yeah, well, before Martinsville.
Oh, that's right. He came back to Martinsville.
Yeah, went to Martinsville. One. I actually went to Texas with Rick and tested his truck because he had a broken foot and he wasn't able to do that about the week after this race, and then came back in Martinsville and with a broken foot and won that race in dominating fashion. So. But that was a horrible accident that day on the backstretch. Hank Parker Jr., Tina Gordon also involved with Rick.
Adam Alexander.
Rick, one thing on your iRacing, if it was very accurate, you'd be out of a job because you'd eaten through like 10 or 12 race cars a day. But anyway, that's beside the point. On to the Rick Crawford story. Phil was talking about how it was very late in the game for them to know they were coming here to Atlanta. The crew had to work overtime on Wednesday, and they were putting decals on the truck in the garage this morning to give you an idea. But I think they are very close, and as you guys pointed out, you don't want to miss a race and then find out you've got a sponsor that's going to take you the entire way. Would love to see Rick put something nice together this weekend that will help get that contract signed.
And remember, Rick has only missed one race in his career, and that's when he had a qualifying incident in Kentucky, and NASCAR actually would not allow him to run that race, or Rick would have started every single race he's gone to since he started back at Disney World, I think, in 1997.
Brad Sweet on the racetrack now in the Great Clips number 90.
Brad's a young man trying to figure all this out, 24 years old.
Great support. Trip Bruce, the crew chief on that truck. Doug Stringer Motorsports going to make the transition into the truck series. Been a long-time ARCA competitor over the years.
How about Trip Bruce being your crew chief as a guy like Brad Sweet? I mean, what a wealth of knowledge that has to be on the radio for you.
And Brad is an open wheel driver, a sprint car driver, and you know who he drives for, right, in the sprint car series?
Casey Kane.
Casey Kane. Yeah.
So he's got all kinds of places to turn for information, and that certainly helps, Rick. And you know, it's like you talked about the iRacing game. That helps too.
Yeah.
Just so your brain knows what it's going to see when it pulls out on the track, and then when you pull out there, like you said, it looks just like the game. Then all of a sudden there's a sense of comfort that you get. You're like, well, I know this track. Now I just have to figure out this vehicle.
And feel it. I mean, obviously iRacing, you see it, but you don't, like so many times I hear you drivers talking about how you drive kind of by the seat of your pants, the feel that you have in that vehicle.
Everything. It's seat of your pants, arms, shoulders, your whole body feels it. Brad has won several open wheel races in the USAC division. Won the midget race last week at Las Vegas, so already a lot of success in 2010 for Brad.
Now, this is about this is the opposite of what he did last week, right, Phil?
100%. As far as the type of vehicle and the type of racetrack, certainly. Hopefully he can have some success here as well.
Early in the going, Ty Bodine is our fastest truck. Pretty impressed with the run Donnie Leah laid out there for him, Phil. Just ran a couple laps, and he's third fastest.
That tells you how tough Trip Bruce is. He's in a T-shirt. The guy standing next to him is in a winter coat.
Hornaday just jumped to the top of the board in that Longhorn Chevrolet. First laps with Doug George as crew chief.
16 trucks have been on the racetrack. We have 39 that are here that will be vying for the 36 spots tomorrow morning during qualifying. It will be shown here on Speed.
And it's actually not the first laps because Ron is the one that did that tire test at Nashville.
Double A.
Number of drivers practicing patience, Rick, as you guys have talked about. Only 16 of the 39 trucks have actually been on track in the first 20 minutes or so of this practice session. And you can see Eric Almirola about to join the fray. He spent a great deal of the early part of this practice time on top of his hauler with crew chief Richie Waters discussing their plans for the day. I guess they feel like they have waited long enough. The dirt has been knocked off the racetrack, and now Eric Almirola getting set to climb in his Toyota and go out and see how that 51 truck is handling here at Atlanta.
Where Eric jumped in Billy Ballou's trucks towards the end of the year last year, and every single race it seemed like top five, a couple runner-up finishes.
Yeah.
A lot of action continuing right here on Speed. Keep it locked in to this channel.
You just got to stay right here, man. We got it all
right here. Again, that's the Superbike race at Daytona 200 at 9 o'clock tonight. Bike week from Daytona. Practice continues right here on Speed for the Camping World Truck Series, so stay with us. Welcome back to Atlanta Motor Speedway here in Hampton, Georgia, just a bit south of Atlanta, as we are seeing the 56 of Taylor Malsum make his way around this mile-and-a-half racetrack. Let's take a look at our Toyota track description.
As a race car driver, this track has everything you want. A lot of speed, over 200 miles an hour down into the corner. Big, wide, sweeping turns with high banks, and not a lot of grip. That's probably the thing that the drivers enjoy most of anything, is getting down in the corner and having to work that car or that truck through the turn, through the bumps. Grip goes away, and it becomes a real challenge just to make it around the corner, let alone make it around there faster than everybody else.
As we watch Matt Crafton coming off a top 5 finish last week at last time out at Daytona, you know, it's the drivers don't want it to be easy, because you can really differentiate yourself from somebody else if it's difficult. And drivers love a challenging racetrack, and that's why they love this one.
Let's see what we're looking at on tires here, Phil. Matt's just out on the track here for a lap or so. Let's see what he's able to do with his right foot. Can he leave it wide open? That was wide open.
It was wide open. You heard the motor change a little bit. That's just because it gets bogged down a little bit in the center of the corner with tire scrub.
What he'll do, he would run wide open right way past here to about right here is when the grip would start giving up if it was going to. You know, you can get in there wide open pretty good, and you get the center of the corner wide open, but if it's going to go away, that's when you got to start heading the other direction, Phil. Like, watch this. See, right now he's still heading the same way. Uh-oh, we got to transition now. We got to head the other way. That truck's working good right down on that yellow line, wide open. He can do that possibly 10, 12 laps maybe, but it'll eventually go away.
Absolutely. You know, the tires are going to get enough time on them. The air pressure is going to build up, and they're going to have other trucks around you. It's relatively simple right now for those guys to go out to run wide open. Not completely simple. You got to remember, take a given that these guys are really, really good at what they do.
I was going to say Rick can't do it.
Well,
Let's not make it sound that simple.
I did want to bring a point. I wanted to thank you for saying the reason why Michael said the guys like the tires to fall off. Because I thought, well, wait a second. As a driver, why would you want the tires to fall off? But then you said it differentiates the good drivers from the ones that maybe aren't as good.
Or the good trucks. It just, there's ways to
it's a package.
It's a package. If you're a good driver, you probably got a pretty good truck. So, you're going to have a better chance to accomplish your goals by holding your foot down longer than the next guy.
Speaking of a good truck, Crafton jumped to the top of the charts with a 31.391 on his second time around this racetrack. So he is the fastest truck. And we'll go back to the garage and Adam Alexander.
And Rick, when you talk about drivers that should be confident, Kevin Harvick would fit that category. He's the Sprint Cup Series point leader. The last 2 times he has been a part of the Truck Series, he has won at Phoenix and Homestead at the end of 2009. He's got a brand new truck this weekend, never turned a lap. So you would think maybe he'd be chomping at the bit to head out and see what he's got. Nah, he's just hanging out. So I guess if there was any question about his confidence level in this truck program, we figured it out, because he's going to take plenty of time to go out and get this new machine broken in, right?
Well, Adam, down on my end of the garage, the 15 truck has just rolled in, currently 4th on the board. What do you think of truck racing altogether different, huh?
Yeah, this truck race stuff's a lot of fun. We haven't really got to, been around any trucks yet, but our red top Tundra is pretty good. We're just a little tight across the middle. Feel like we're binding it up a little bit. So these trucks, you got to run, you run them wide open, so you got to get them as free as you can, to make as much speed. So we're a little snug across the middle, but we're going to work on it and, try and get it better.
Do you have to actually say to yourself in your brain, I got to drive this thing differently?
Yeah, you do, but it's not as different. For surely not as different as I expected. These things, they move so much air. So you don't use any brake. The truck just kind of slows itself down. So they're a lot of fun to drive. It's cool.
All right, have fun. That's Stephen Wallace driving for Billy Ballou this weekend here at Atlanta.
Stephen's coming off a 5-race string and top 5 finishes consecutively in the Nationwide Series. So really has started to come around here. His career, he's had about 100 starts now in the Nationwide Series, so he's really gaining on it.
A lot of trucks are there in the garage. We've got a couple still out on the racetrack. This practice goes until 2:30. So stick with us here on Speed. Speed Grub and Rub at Martinsville Speedway. Get reserved tickets for Saturday and Sunday's races, plus all-you-can-eat trackside breakfast on Saturday. Visit speedtv.com, keyword promo, or call 877-RACE-TICKS.
I heard about Grub and Rub, and I said somebody sign me up for that. I don't know what it is, but I want to be a part of it.
I think our whole Speed team is going to be there, right?
Yeah, the truck team's all going to be
there.
there.
Absolutely. Looking
Ray's
forward to
going
that.
to be giving back rubs.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I'm going to answer that for Ray, and he's going to not give back rubs.
Well, he may give them, but it's not going to be to us.
Yeah, okay. Okay, there you go.
Yeah. But Clay Campbell does such a great job at Martinsville, and it's such a big event for the trucks. A big event last year for this guy right here.
Yeah, but don't you love going to Martinsville? And don't you just love the spirit of the grub and rub? To sit down with the fans, talk about the racing, it just takes me back to when I would load up on Saturday afternoon and head out to Kentucky Motor Speedway in Owensboro, Kentucky, and race my car. You know, you did it because that's all you knew to do. And when I go to Martinsville, I have that same spirit and that same feeling. People are just there because they like to watch cars, you know, and it's whether you're Jeff Gordon or you're just starting out in the truck series, you go to Martinsville, it makes you feel like a kid again.
That's because we all grew up on short tracks.
Right.
And that's fun to go to Martinsville and beat and bang and bash a little bit. And it was a lot of fun for this guy here last fall. Timothy Peters got that first career win at Martinsville after he had already won the big late model race a couple years ago there, the Bailey 300. Double A.
And Phil, I wanted to get your and Michael's opinion on something. I've heard a number of crew chiefs talking to their drivers about the importance of being on the racetrack right now during this practice session. The other practice time for these drivers will come late this afternoon from 4 to 5 o'clock local time here in Atlanta. But we're going to race about 24 hours from now. How much will this track change throughout the course of the afternoon? And what does that do to raise the level of importance on this session that we're in currently?
Well, the temperature is going to continue to rise, I think, all weekend, Adam. So these guys are aware of that. They understand that what they have right now, I think that the next practice will actually be more reminiscent of what they're going to face tomorrow because there'll be more trucks have been on the track. The temperature is going to be a little warmer tomorrow, so therefore the next session the track will be a little bit warmer. So I think this is playing into their hands nicely.
And I think the thing, especially with the trucks, as opposed to the Sprint Cup cars, they have a limited amount of tires. So you can't go out right. You're going to have to pick your battles because you don't want to use up 2 sets of tires in practice. You really only need to use up 1 set of tires in practice. And Ricky about used up the right side of that monster Chevrolet coming off the corner. But, you know, you get a lot of wear early on here before you get a lot of rubber down. And that's the one thing that the guys, they don't want to wear out their tires this practice session, have nothing for the next one.
And that's why you don't see a whole lot of trucks on the track. When the thing went green, just a few of them.
Good lap right there, buddy.
Yeah, good lap. You ought to see him coming off 4. You wouldn't have said that. That's why you only saw Stephen Wallace go out there at first and try to get a feel for the truck and the track so he learned. Watch how close he gets to this wall. Is he going to do it again?
Oh, he had plenty of room.
Yeah. That time.
Yeah.
I would hope he had more room that time than he did the time before. Watch.
Yeah. You guys talk, this is live right now. You guys talk about the fact that, you know, being conservative with your tires. This is a 130 lap race. What can we expect as far as strategy for these teams?
I was talking to a lot of the crew chiefs in the garage area. Jeff Hensley specifically, Timothy Peters' crew chief, and he said, man, I really want to have a set of tires left if we get a caution with 25 or 20 laps to go. He said, I don't care if we're leading. We have a set of tires in the pits with 25 to go. We're coming for those tires.
And we've seen Kyle Busch use that strategy late in the race. Will come in for 4 tires, and the next thing you know, he's passing everyone.
Well, he went from 8th or 9th one time to 2nd 1 lap after he got new tires. Remember that a year or two ago?
And do you remember Bobby Hamilton used to do that so well? He would start in the back and just pass them all right around the top of the track.
Adam Alexander.
The discussion of tires a little bit more interesting this weekend perhaps than what it has been in years past here at Atlanta, because teams have been given 5 sets for the weekend as opposed to 4. 5 a pretty large number for a 200-mile race. And so I was talking to Jeff Hensley, Timothy Peters' crew chief, about how do you utilize those? Do you practice a little more? He said, nope, absolutely not. We're going to make 1 set work for us during practice, because he wanted exactly what you guys just referred to, an opportunity to put tires on late in the race should that opportunity present itself.
Thanks, Adam.
Check out that
See the tires. Obviously, those are a big topic of conversation at every racetrack that we go to, how they'll hold up. On a somber note, one of the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series officials passed away yesterday, a gentleman by the name of Ken Kiefer. So our thoughts and prayers go out to his family and condolences. Speed presentation of NASCAR Camping World Truck Series practice from Atlanta is brought to you by Chamberlain Garage Door Openers, featuring EverCharge standby power. The openers that work even when the power is out.
Now that's smart. Nothing any more disappointing than getting home and pushing your button and nothing happens.
It doesn't work.
Especially when your keys are at the house.
The night train is on the racetrack. That is Todd Bodine. We would expect him to run extremely well because it's a 1.5 mile racetrack. He has success on 1.5 mile tracks, especially Texas, where he's won numerous times. But he's won at this racetrack as well. The importance of the night train, if those of you that watched the Olympics this past couple weeks will know that the night train was the name of the bobsled that the 4-man bobsled team drove to the gold medal in this most recent year's Olympics. Very, very emotional win for the United States.
First time in 48 years bobsled gold for the United States, and Todd's older brother Jeff was so instrumental in designing, he and his partner Bob Cuneo designing and actually funding and raising money for the U.S. bobsled team. And I know I talked to Jeff a little bit earlier today and how tickled he was.
Well, I remember in 1992 when Jeff said we can help those guys. They're buying sleds from Russia and racing them. We have the technology in this NASCAR garage in order to give them sleds that they can go win with, and that's exactly what Jeff Whitworth doing. We know every winter, Boris said, a bunch of the race car drivers go up to Lake Placid and raise a lot of money for the team, and Steve Holcomb piloted that sled to victory. It's the Wheeling Bobsled Challenge, and you know, Boris said's been the man. Guess who unseated him this year?
Joey Logano.
Joey Logano took him down.
Yeah, how about the
kids, huh?
And the 2-man ladies bobsled got bronze, first time in maybe even forever.
Can you say 2-man ladies bobsled?
You're just supposed to throw it to Ray or somebody.
Let's go down to the garage. How about that? Go ahead, Ray.
You talk about a tough act to follow. Anyway, we'll go to Matt Crafton because we know one thing for sure. He is at the top of the board right now. Only 3 laps, but I guess it satisfied you, huh?
Yeah, it's very good. And these guys, can't thank these guys enough. They worked really hard over the winter on a lot of these trucks, building a couple new ones. This one they took all apart. We ran a lot last year. This Menard's Australian Gold Chevy, I mean, ran 3 laps. It's really good. We're just waiting a little bit to get some more rubber on the racetrack. This place is really abrasive, really hard on the tires. So we're just going to wait a little bit to get some more rubber on the track, and then we'll got to run a few more laps.
Top 5 at Daytona, a great start to the year. How anxious were you to get here to Atlanta to see how your program is at this kind of track?
Very, very anxious. Our 1.5 mile program was really good last year. I mean, this is honestly my favorite racetrack that we go to all year. I mean, I was very disappointed last year when they only took one of them away and we only come here once, but this is the best racing there is in NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. I love doing this. I mean, love this place. This yellow truck will be up front a lot tomorrow.
And Ray, I think we jinxed Crafton. Harvick just went to the top of the board.
Well, let's talk about Ricky Carmichael down on my end of the garage, Adam. Very, very happy. You know, he just came on the radio talking with his crew chief a bit about how he feels he's a little bit in a 4-wheel drift, but he said the truck is absolutely just right in the balance as far as not too free and not too tight. They're actually making a shock change on the front of this Monster Energy Chevrolet right now to try to get it through the center just a little bit, but Ricky Carmichael really happy with the balance on truck number 4.
Ricky Carmichael in the top 5 of the trucks that have been on the track. 21 have been out there. Again, 39 are here on the premises. We'll see how many make it out onto the track. Welcome back to Atlanta Motor Speedway as Camping World Truck Series practice continues. Fast Track to Fame, Mondays 8 p.m. Eastern to 9 p.m. Pacific on Speedway. What an amazing first show from Las Vegas. I watched on Monday. Michael, you had talent, that guys that juggled chainsaws to the winner, who was one of the most amazing fiddle players I've ever seen in my life.
It was crazy. And you know how you can tell if someone's a good chainsaw juggler?
How can you tell?
If they got both their arms. I mean,
and all their fingers.
Yeah, and then you get down to the details, whether he's got all his fingers or not. But he was an amazing chainsaw juggler. I was standing on stage watching him, and the muscles he was using to, I mean, it looked like it was, you could take it for granted that he was going to do it. He was working his tail off. Yeah. But got another great group of talent lined up here in Atlanta. We're going to shoot the show tomorrow night, show it on Monday night. So if you're around, you got to check it out. It's really fun.
Fast Track to Fame, 8 o'clock on Monday nights. Swarno Goslin.
This is why we're away at commercial.
Boy, Mario's done a nice job in that Tire Monkey truck. Let's see what happens.
Ooh,
Oh,
gets a little bit loose
sideways.
there.
That'll bring you straight to the pit, won't it, Phil?
Yeah, and remember now, that's when he's trying to run wide open too. He gets sideways.
He
scared that monkey.
Scared the poor monkey. You know, that used to be my Tire Monkey, but we weren't saying it right, so they just changed the name to fit what we were saying. Right. Now it's tiremonkey.com.
Ray Dunlap.
Guys, Mario had been on the radio and he told his crew chief, he said, I went down through turns 1 and 2 a couple of times and the balance was absolutely perfect. Came through there that time completely sideways. Said, I have no idea what changed in the truck, but from one lap to perfect to the next lap to just about crashing. Adam?
And Ray, if you're going to be successful, you should surround yourself with good people. Taylor Malsom has certainly learned that in the early part of his career. Driving for Kyle Busch certainly will help. And look at who's talking to him atop the hauler. Johnny Benson, who won the championship here in the Truck Series a couple of years ago. And just a moment ago, before we took this shot, Rick Wren, the general manager for Kyle Busch Motorsports, was up there as well. It is nice to have a wealth of knowledge surrounding you. And we should point out, seeing Johnny up there, he is not going to race this weekend after that top 10 at Daytona. We certainly hope he can put something together, and we'll see him on track in a more full-time capacity soon.
Jeff Bodine actually driving the 95 this week in Atlanta.
Jeff won him a gold up in Canada and decided he'd come down to Atlanta and show off his racing skills on asphalt.
Yeah, he's actually bringing that four-man bobsled team to Atlanta. They're going to be here tomorrow, so that should be very exciting.
Going to get a lot of high fives, aren't they? There's going to be a lot of people that want to shake those guys' hands. That's amazing. 1948 in Switzerland was the last time they won gold.
Yeah, that is incredible. What an incredible job. And that's been building over the years, as you mentioned. Jeff said in 1992, we can do better for them. And that's what culminated at Vancouver a week or so ago.
I'm pulling those stats out left and right. Now that I'm not driving anymore, I've actually been studying for this job. I'm a wealth of knowledge, I promise.
Tim McGraw on the back of this truck. And I'm sure he's got a little more comfortable ride than he had 3 weeks ago at Daytona, when Johnny Sauter had an early exit from that race and was not happy that he had to leave early.
I didn't like the way the truck looked down there in 1 and 2. Did you feel it looked like he was really pushing him, went straight up?
Throttle sticking wide open on this thing, so that's good.
You don't hear that very often.
So we got that going for us.
That was a little bit tongue-in-cheek, though, I might add.
Yeah. But it certainly makes the decision easier when you get to the corner what to do.
What a great job he did at Las Vegas last year. Now Johnny becomes one of the guys that has won in both the Nationwide Series and the Camping World Truck Series.
Ron back out. He's got the 3rd fastest time so far, about a 10th off Crafton and 3/10 off his teammate. That's an amazing blast.
We're talking about that brand new truck of Harvick's and how people have new trucks and whether they're a little bit apprehensive. Not so much for Kevin Harvick. He went out there first time in that brand spanking new truck and 2/10 quicker than anybody.
And this truck is a team, it's a team truck to that truck. So you'd think Ron can find that kind of speed in his too.
And again, Ron Hornaday driving the 33. We're going to see it tomorrow morning in qualifying, but he has to qualify to get into this race, and that's just yeah. He's obviously our defending champion, so he's got to pass. He's going to get in, but because of the switching around of the number 2 and the 33. Those points went to the 2 to guarantee that truck in every race.
What happened after last year, the top 25 in car owner points, that made all the attempts, at least the top 25 made all the attempts, were locked in the field for the first 4 races. Well, there were only 22 trucks that actually made all the attempts. The 2 truck of Kevin Harvick, the one that's Kevin is running here, did not make all the attempts. So in order to, for what KHI did, they swapped the points between the 33 and the 2, because they know Ron Hornaday, being the most recent champion, is going to get in the field no matter what. And then the 2 truck will be locked in the field because it's one of those trucks. The 33 was one of those trucks that ran all the races.
And the simple reason why they did that was weather. They know their trucks are going to be fast enough to make the race. They're pretty confident if qualifying goes down, they'll be in the race. But if it were to rain out qualifying and you hadn't got your points arranged correctly inside your own camp, you could knock yourself out of the race.
We're seeing Kevin and Delane at the front of that truck. Adam?
And those not the only two hanging out. Rick Corelli, the team general manager, is there, and the man that will take over crew chief duties for this 2-truck following this weekend, Butch Hilton, is also helping work on the truck here at Atlanta. Now, Ernie Cope, who oversees the Nationwide Series program for Kevin Harvick, will crew chief this truck this weekend. Then he will go back over to the Nationwide side, making way for Butch Hilton. And there you see Butch in the tan-colored cap with the sunglasses on the bill. Good opportunity for him and a great situation for Kevin Harvick Incorporated. If you're wondering why all this happened, Ray mentioned earlier, Doug George was with this team, and he moved over to work with Ron Hornaday on the 33 after Dave Fuge's departure.
And that was Ernie that was standing there talking to Butch Hilton when Adam was talking about that.
So Kevin Harvick is off the racetrack now and in the garage as they're working on that truck. It's the fastest up to this point, 31.180 the time around this mile-and-a-half track. Sunday NASCAR race day soars into Atlanta. Tune in as points leader Kevin Harvick, Clint Boyer, and crew chief Alan Gustafson join us live. We'll break down the fallout and Earnhardt Ganassi after their wreck in Las Vegas. NASCAR race day built by the Home Depot, live Sunday at 10 Eastern, only on Speed. Beautiful sunny day in Hampton, Georgia for Easy Go 200 practice for the Camping World Truck Series at Atlanta Motor Speedway. We head back down to the garage. Ray Dunlap.
Well, Rick, temperature's starting to warm up down here in the garage, and everybody ready to go out for their last little run of this first practice. Justin Lofton, what are you guys working on the 17?
Really just trying to get the truck balanced. We unloaded great, especially for my first time at the racetrack. First time on a mile-and-a-half in a truck, so really enjoying it. Mark's doing an awesome job, and really looking forward to getting this number 7 to the front.
Now, are you aware that after you buy a new hat like this at the shop, you're allowed to turn the bill a little bit like the rest of us old people do?
Yeah, that's we're just kind of trying to bring a little bit of the Southern California style out to the East Coast, especially down here in the South of Georgia.
That's what happens, Adam, whenever they're 24. These guys got a whole different style than you and I.
Taylor Malsum, another one of the youth movement in the Camping World Truck Series. 3 laps on track and wholesale changes. What are you guys fighting?
We've just been hitting the side skirts and got a little bit of an oil leak, but Kyle told me before practice, we're not going to run a whole lot this one just because there's no rubber on the track, and let the cup cars put the rubber down, and we'll go run some more laps in the second practice and actually see what we got. We're just kind of getting little things worked out here and there, and we're good to go, though.
How much better will you be in 2010? Because I saw you talking to Johnny Benson, and obviously Kyle Busch is your owner.
It's going to be awesome. I mean, I got everyone around me that I need to do well, and I'm very fortunate in the situation I'm at, so I'm very excited to be with KBM and have Johnny help me, and Rick Wren and Dan and all these guys. It's going to be so much fun, and I can't wait to keep going.
It doesn't hurt to have a place to go for advice.
And team owner back in the truck, headed back out onto the racetrack. Right now they have 5 laps between the 2 drivers.
Yeah,
Kyle Busch only had 2 laps, and he put his truck all the way up in the top 5, running 4th quickest.
Would you say that the practice for Kevin Harvick and particularly Harvick couldn't have gone any better so far? It was perfect. He drove out there. He's trying to save his tires. He drives out there. His truck is perfect. He's the fastest now it can set. And maybe in this next practice, when the cup cars put down all that rubber, the cup cars will make race runs in this first practice. So there'll be 40-some cars out there running multiple laps. That'll really rubber this track up. And so Kevin, when all that happens in the next practice, he might go make him an 8 or 10 lap run and decide that he thinks he likes it pretty good. Remember Bobby Hamilton? He wouldn't even do that. He would go out and run 2 laps, liked his truck. He would sit it there so he'd have those extra tires in the race.
And those tires came in handy.
A couple times.
Double A.
Curious to know what Michael and Phil's opinion is on the draft here at Atlanta. It's obviously not Daytona, but I've heard a number of comments on the radio about once we get a bunch of trucks out there, it's really going to help us out and give us some speed. React to those comments.
Well, you certainly are going to get. We heard Stephen Wallace, and like I said earlier in the broadcast, you go down the straightaway, you could just feel this big old truck trying to buck all that air as it's going down the straightaway. You get a truck in front of you, that truck will break the air for you, and you'll definitely draft up to them. But that advantage you have on the straightaway, it becomes a disadvantage in the turns, because instead of having that air to push the front of the truck down on your truck when you're turning, you've got that air now flying over your truck because the truck in front of you is hitting all that air. So you're handling handling is different. The handling goes away. It's a catch-22. You want a little bit of draft on the straightaway, and you'd rather not have any trucks around you in the turn.
And that's why I think nowadays when we see these trucks practicing, or the cars for that matter, we used to never go on a racetrack unless we were with somebody, because we wanted to know what our car or truck does in front of somebody and what it did behind somebody. But now these guys, the balance is so critical. They'll go out and they run by themselves. They know they're going to give up a little bit when they're out there behind somebody, and they know when somebody pulls up behind them that it's going to loosen them up a little bit, but they really don't simulate that as much in practice as they used to.
Well, I think it's a lot because it's so critical of getting these springs right, get the shocks and get the thing coil binding the way you want it to. That's their most important agenda in practice, like you said.
2 more laps for Kyle Busch. 31.833 was the quickest he could go on those 2. Kevin Harvick still the one everyone's chasing. Keep it right here on Speed. Coming up next, it's the Sprint Cup cars taking to the 1.5 mile Atlanta Motor Speedway. Then our final practice at 4 o'clock. NASCAR Live will get you reset for Sprint Cup qualifying at 6 o'clock. Then trackside at 8. And Superbikes from Daytona, the Daytona 200 at 9 o'clock this evening. Austin Dillon taking his Bass Pro Shops tracker number 3 back out onto the track.
Good practice for Austin. Got a top 10 speed up there, learning what it takes. You know, we talked at the open the show, Austin trying to figure this out. Jen Cobb trying to get her a chance to get on the track. I follow her on Twitter, and I think it's fun to do that as a race fan. She said she couldn't get through templates for this first practice. So we talked about her needing laps, needing to learn the track, and it's going to put her behind a little bit. Now she's going to even be a little bit more behind.
Even farther behind. But
and that's the case, Phil. We got 30-some trucks here, 39 trucks, I believe, in the garage area, and only 28 of them have made it to the track. So obviously, not all those trucks would probably like to have a couple laps in this first practice session to see where their splitter is, how their truck's handling, and not all of them look like they're going to get that.
Yeah, as we watch Brett Butler right here in the 47 truck, it's horrible for somebody like Jennifer Jo Cobb, who desperately need the track time. It would be the same situation for Austin Dillon. He's been fortunate enough, he's been out there 12 laps already. And remember now, the rookies, we talk about the tires and tire management for these practice sessions. The rookies actually get an extra set of tires because they do not want to handicap the rookies even more than they're already handicapped because of the no testing policy that we've had over the last couple of years. They will actually give the rookies another set of tires to practice on. They will have to turn those tires in. They will not be available to them during the race, but they will have to be able to practice on those tires. So that's the best of a bad situation for a rookie not having much track time.
28 trucks have been on the racetrack. Of those, 10 are go or go home drivers that need to qualify their way into this race. And I'm including Ron Hornaday, Kyle Busch. Those are 2 of the big names that are up in the top 5 right now. They're the fastest of the go or go homers.
What a nice young man Austin Dillon is. He's a freshman at High Point University in High Point, North Carolina. We followed him during our setup show from Daytona. We followed him in a day of the life of a college freshman / race car driver.
And right now, Phil,
things have changed, by the way, since we were in college. A day in the life of a college freshman.
His eyes are wide open, aren't they, Phil, right now, just trying to take in every bit of what this track's about, what that truck's doing over the bumps. He's been all over iRacing, I bet you, learning what this track looks like. But then when you actually are out there in the truck, it starts to slide with you. You're like, whoa.
You know, speaking of learning and college and all of that, I believe you 2 are going to be involved in a rematch in NASCAR Smarts. Is that right?
Well, we just hope it's a match this time.
Well, let me tease you with a question, and I'll throw it to both of you. 3 drivers named Mike or Michael have won in trucks. Can you name them? 3 drivers with the name Mike or
You
Michael
want to collaborate?
have won in trucks.
Got Mike Skinner, obviously.
Skinner, yeah.
Okay.
Got a smoke out of Jeff Bodine.
Mike Bliss would be another one. He's a former champion in the series. That's horrible bad luck for Jeff Bodine right there. The Bodine bobsled project, Dodge out of Danny Team Gill stables.
Let's just have an oil line loose, it looks like, Phil.
They had a problem earlier with the clutch. They had to change the clutch this morning. They had a situation, so they may have inadvertently left an oil line loose or something like that.
So they send the red flag. Red flag will go out. We'll bring everyone back onto pit road.
The last guys must be Michael because we got a Mike and a Mike.
Yeah, we got Skinner and Bliss.
Michael.
We'll think about that. Well, maybe let's go to commercial and we'll think about that and we'll have the answer when we come back.
We won't have that luxury during Smarts, you know.
We probably won't.
Yeah, I don't think you can take a commercial
but
break.
we know
once
those
the
other
question's
guys
been
wouldn't get
asked
all
of you.
three of them.
No, they wouldn't get those two.
I'll give you a hint when we come back. Speed's presentation of NASCAR Camping World Truck Series practice from Atlanta is brought to you by Camping World RV Rentals. Book early and save. One-way and round-trip RV rentals available. As we went away to commercial break, we had a trivia question out there because Jeff Bodine's truck was smoking. They put the red flag out. You see that truck being pushed back into the garage. The question was, there are 3 drivers named Mike or Michael who have won in the trucks. And they have, they're pushing it like a bobsled. No, they're not. They have already given us Mike Skinner and Mike Bliss. The third,
Mike Wallace,
has a nephew in the field. Oh, there it is.
I was just holding out to make it dramatic.
Oh, well, it worked.
There's the
You see the 4-man bobsled on the side of the 30 of Todd Bodine.
Great run Todd had at Daytona. Was going for 3 in a row down there and looked like he might get it, but right at the very end got nudged out and literally nudged out.
Yep.
But listen, man, he hit the wall on the back straightaway.
And
He
kept
spun
his
out on
foot
the
in
front
it.
straightaway and still almost won the darn race. That was such a great finish. He was on the wheel, buddy.
You know, we talked earlier about a guy who's been smiling ever since Daytona. Another guy who should be smiling, and we want to congratulate one of our broadcast partners, Adam Alexander. Congratulations. You will be the play-by-play announcer for the 6 Cup races on TNT. So congratulations.
Thank you very much, Rick. I'm certainly looking forward to that opportunity. And you talk about guys that are smiling. Ricky Carmichael was not when we were at Daytona a few weeks ago. What's the educational process been like today, Ricky?
Well, it's been awesome. These guys, Monster Energy Chevrolet, the guys from the shop, they've been working their tail off. It's awesome. And just learning a lot this week from the, you know, I don't get rookie set of tires, so it's tough. I want to keep on making laps. I'm like, well, wait, I got another practice. I got to run these same old tires on. So we're pretty close. We're 8th on the board, and I'm happy.
We know what you can do with a steering wheel and handlebars in your hands, but you're pretty good with a pencil too. I understand you designed the Supercross track at Daytona.
I did. We got this is my 3rd year doing it. I designed the Daytona Supercross for the pro guys, and in my amateur race I'm having the day after. I'm really excited. That track is historically known for being a tough racetrack, and my riding style as well. I try to make it tough on the boys, man. Only the strong survive. So I'm anxious to see how good it'll be and how good it'll be for the fans. But I got to be pretty nice when I design it because I don't want those guys bad-mouthing me too bad.
You know, you've been the student learning how to drive these trucks the last couple of years, but I understand on Monday you're going to be the teacher. Tell us about that.
I am really excited. Got Ricky Carmichael Amateur Supercross Sunday, and then Monday after we got the Ricky Carmichael University. It's limited to 100 riders. We're all sold out, and I can't wait to help these guys try to obtain their goal and have fun and kind of put them on the right track. I really look forward to it.
Send me an email for next semester, okay?
All right, it's on.
And we're going to follow Ricky as he goes to the head of the class, and we'll have more on that probably at Martinsville.
There's a couple students that we know about that will be a part of that class, and they're going to take you guys on in NASCAR Smarts.
What is that all about?
Yeah, Rutledge and Kyle Petty are going to be part of that class on Monday, and we're going to have a camera on it and follow it, and we'll show you that at Martinsville.
You know, every time I see Jeff Bodine in a truck, I think back to Daytona.
Me too.
I mean, it's just amazing, and we're so lucky that Jeff is still with us here actually after the amazing accident he had in Daytona back in 2000. Let's go back trackside with Ray Dunlap.
Well, I'm going to ride up here and get a hold of Jeff real quick. It looks like it's power steering, guys, that is actually underneath the hood there. Tell you what, that's a pretty big smile on your face. Congratulations on an incredible effort you put forth for our guys to get the gold.
Thanks, Ray. Yeah, that's great. It's fantastic to be a part of it. It's overwhelming to know that you're a part of something the whole country's cheering for. So we're happy, proud of our athletes. Yeah, we got a little power steering leak up front. We like to be spectacular, you know that.
Now, I saw whenever we were up there for the Bodine Bobsled Project this year, the team gave you a really cool outfit, the uniform that they wore to walk through at the beginning. But do you actually get a gold medal?
No, my wife Lori got me a medal. It's plastic, though. It's not real gold. No, builders don't get medals, just the athletes, unfortunately.
I saw a cool photo of you up there in Vancouver standing up on the podium. It had to be an awfully proud moment.
Well, after the athletes got down, I was looking at that podium. I said, I've got to go up there. I got to see what it feels like. And I know what it feels like. I still don't have the medal, though.
Congratulations. I've been involved for 5 years with him on that project. Loads of fun when we go to Lake Placid. And this truck and also Todd celebrating the gold for the USA.
It's always an amazing event and a spectacle and very emotional when you see the United States athletes on the top of the podium and they play the national anthem and you see the flag going up, and it was equally as emotional when we saw Steve Holcomb and Justin Olson, Steve Meltzer and Kurt Tomasevich up on top of the podium when they were getting their gold medals, and really an amazing
What about
event.
our hockey team?
Oh my
What
goodness.
a battle they put in.
What a battle royale that was. What a great game.
Again, everything continues here on Speed. Sprint Cup practice following us, then final practice for the trucks. Trackside tonight at 8 o'clock. The Daytona 200, 9 o'clock. And welcome back. Trucks back on the racetrack for the Easy Go 200 practice. The final minutes winding down of this practice session. It goes to 2:20 before the Sprint Cup cars will take to the high banks here at Atlanta.
Good battle right here. Kyle Busch, the 18 truck, pulls to the inside of Mike Skinner. I really like the fact that those two trucks went out there together and are running together just to see what we were talking about before, Michael, to get an idea what your vehicle will do around another one.
Watch Skinner. He'll gain ground on him down that back straightaway, Phil. The draft will allow him to do that. When he gets to the turn, Skinner picked a little bit higher line last time through.
And both of those trucks, the last time by, ran their fastest lap of the session.
We see guys on the bottom like Kevin Harvick a year ago. When he was hooked up on the bottom, it didn't look like anyone could touch him. But guys have also been equally as good when they run up against the wall and keep that momentum up, as you mentioned, Michael.
Yeah, it's just it has largely to do with driver preference, I believe, Phil. These guys, that if they want to run on the bottom, they can do that. They're so good. If they want to run on the top, they can do that. So if they're committed to the bottom and they see somebody making a little ground on them, they'll just ride up to the top and see what they have up there. That's the options these cats like Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Mike Skinner, they have after all these years. This young man's having a really strong practice. This is the fastest we've seen him in this 90 truck. 6th spot in the practice session, and so that's really encouraging for that team.
Really is. Rumor is Casey Kane may jump in that truck once or twice towards the end of the year.
Little sideways there for Brad Sweet. He likes that on dirt. He does not like that on asphalt.
And that was only that little wobble right there cost him about 3/4 of a second.
Amazingly enough, the two fastest trucks, Kevin Harvick and Matt Crafton, they're separated by 0.2 of a second right now.
Watch this.
Harvick's really got a good truck.
Whoa.
Yeah, that was looked like a little bit of a little dip in the racetrack, and that's what induced that truck to get sideways. The truck went down in a little bit of a dip and lost the back end.
And you see what he's doing. He said, I think I need to work on this thing. I'm going to get it to the pits. And then the race tomorrow, they'll be sideways like that all day long, and they don't have the option just to head to the pit and fix it. They got to deal with it.
See Ryan Hackett right there. Ryan, 26 crickets. You see he has Kentucky buildings on board. They're going to be on board for 3 races this year. Here, going to run the first Nashville in April, and then Kentucky also. So great to see Ryan getting some sponsorship help to keep that truck on the racetrack.
Yeah, speaking of Kentucky, the basketball team's strong. Only lost 2 games, 3rd in the nation. That truck, has a University of Kentucky spirit to it, I believe. Kind of reminds you of the Cats, doesn't it?
He had a good top 15 finish at Daytona. Ryan did. So there's Brent Raymer, the 85 truck. Brent unfortunately did not make the race at Daytona this year, but going to try to come back strong here at Atlanta. Brent's the 21st quickest truck right now on the racetrack.
Looks like he might have enough speed to get it in here at Atlanta, Phil.
Looking pretty good. How about that guy with the cowboy hat?
There's a pretty good conversation going on right here, I'm sure.
It's good to see Richard at the track. Been spending a lot of time with Linda. She's doing well. I spoke to her the other day, and she's very optimistic, and it was so sweet. I was talking to Kyle, and he said, let's call Ma, and I got to talk to her for a little bit, and prayers and thoughts go out to the whole Petty family. I'm just real happy to see Richard down there in the garage this week.
7 truck of Justin Lofton Back on the racetrack, trying to hug that yellow line. Again, this racetrack, when it gets the tire rubber from the top to the bottom, will have multiple grooves. We'll see guys go from the bottom of the racetrack all the way up to the wall. We'll see passes everywhere here.
I can't wait. I love it.
Red flag in the air. That means the first practice for the Camping World Truck Series from Atlanta Motor Speedway is over. Coming up next, it will be the Sprint Cup practice. The guys will go out to shake down their cars. Then the final practice for the Camping World Truck Series at 4 o'clock. 5 o'clock NASCAR Live gets our batteries reset. Then Sprint Cup qualifying at 6 o'clock. Trackside at 8. The Daytona 200 at 9. Guys, I think we saw some interesting things at practice. We're going to see more at final practice, so stay with us here at Speed.
Yeah, going to see a lot of trucks out there in that last practice, seeing what they have.
On the other side of the break, it's Steve Burns, so stay with us here on Speed.